NFL star Richard Sherman was recently arrested in Washington State this week as he's basically now facing charges of burglary, malicious mischief, and also domestic violence. Now, before you make any thought or opinion about the domestic violence accusation or charge, just hold off until you get the full context of this story. So the arrest took place after he was allegedly intoxicated and was threatening, according to his wife, to kill himself. So she panics and she calls 911. We now have audio of that 911 call, which we're gonna share with you in just a moment. And I think that the dispatcher in that case was just absolutely awful. But I want to give you the context of the story and what was reported about the arrest before we get to that 911 call. So Sherman was ultimately arrested and received a minor ankle laceration from a canine unit. He was then denied bail after being booked into Seattle Correctional Facility. He is currently at that facility because in the state of Washington, if you are charged with domestic violence, they deny you bail. So they have denied him bail. Go ahead, Cenk.
Yeah, I just want to clarify for people what this story is about and what it's not about. The 9/11 tape is outrageous, as you're gonna hear in a second. But in the beginning, I was worried that they're framing this in a way that's weirdly seemed to be against Richard Sherman without enough facts being in. But now a lot of the facts are in, and that is not the case. So for example, if you're curious about burglary, as I was, I mean, he's very wealthy, he doesn't need to steal anything, of course. That's of course not the technical definition. Burglary is entry into a building illegally with intent to commit a crime, especially theft, but not necessarily theft. And he had damaged a door in his in-law's house, and that's why he's charged with burglary. I think that the potential DUI and hit and run is much more serious. So the crimes are real. Of course, you got to give him a fair hearing, and no one was hurt, and his family continues to emphasize that. But the real outrage is in how 9/11 handled the call, 911 handled the call.
Okay, so it's important to know the timeline of events. So at 1:26 a.m. Wednesday, the patrol received a 911 call from a construction worker. So this is after Richard Sherman had left his home where his wife and her uncles are at. So 911 gets a call from a construction worker who reported that a possibly impaired driver, in this case Richard Sherman, had driven into a closed construction zone on eastbound Highway 520 and struck a concrete barrier. So he crashes the car, he appears to be intoxicated, and then he decides to leave the scene of the accident, right? Which is a serious offense. Now, after that happens, around 1:49, Redmond police officers responded to a 911 call of a burglary in progress and found Sherman outside a residence at this area. The Redmond police chief says he confirmed the house belongs to Sherman's wife's parents, which is why Sherman was arrested on investigation of a domestic violence related burglary charge. So by the way, subsequent calls by his wife, she said that Sherman may have been going to her parents' house in Redmond and confirmed that she called ahead to tell them. So when she called 911, obviously she's concerned because he's intoxicated, he's allegedly threatening to commit suicide, she's concerned about his safety, he's about to get into the car, she's doing everything she can to stop him from doing that. And then she later calls the dispatcher again to let the individual know that he appears to be on his way to her parents' house. So that's the context. With that said, we now have the 911 call to share with you, and it gives you even more context, more information about what occurred that night. Let's begin with the first clip that shows you just how combative this 911 dispatcher was.
911, what are you reporting?
I need officers to my house now. My husband is drunk and threatening to kill himself.
Stop. What's the address? Are there any weapons? Stop.
No, there's no gun. I'm saying there are no weapons, ma'am. There are no weapons.
You need to stop interrupting me so I can get the information I need to get officers expedited.
I need officers here now.
What's he doing that you think he's going to harm himself?
He's being aggressive. He has sent text messages. I took the keys out. They're in your car. He's trying to leave now in the house. He's being aggressive. He's wrestling with my uncle. He's threatening to kill himself. He has sent text messages to people saying he's going to hang himself. He's saying that if the police show up, so please don't shoot is what I'm asking.
So you can tell that his wife, Ashley Moss, is concerned about how the police might respond to him, right? Because he's intoxicated, according to her. He's belligerent, according to his wife. And she's just trying to make it abundantly clear that she needs help, but the responding officer should not shoot him. She's very much concerned that that could happen. And so, obviously you also hear the 911 dispatcher who keeps interrupting her as she's trying to explain what's going on. That combativeness is about to get even worse in other clips that we're about to show you. But Cenk, what do you think?
Yeah, so look, she's got to get the address. We understand that, and sometimes the 911 callers need to interrupt someone because they'll be rambling because they're obviously in a panic state at that point. They're calling for a reason, but they need to get the address. Beyond that, the attitude that the 911 dispatcher has is unbearable. This is a person who's in a very emotional state and is very worried about a person they care about. And the 911 dispatcher seems enormously indifferent to it. And of course, other issues, the one Anna brought up, which is that, if you're black in America, when you call for police to help someone in your family, you have to warn them, please don't shoot us. And that's really sad. But you definitely have to give that warning. And you have to explain to them that that person does not have a gun. And if you notice, and you'll see it more, the dispatcher keeps asking about the weapon. Now, understandably so, the police have to know. But God, if she had said he had any kind of weapon, I don't know how that ends.
Yeah, absolutely. So before I get to the next clip, I just want to note that there have been other stories that we've done, obviously not involving a public figure like Richard Sherman, where someone calls 911 on a black male usually, and makes it clear that the person doesn't appear to have a weapon. And the cops come in blazing anyway, right? And so, anyway, that warning is an important one to, or that information is important to give to the dispatcher, but just understand that that doesn't always end up getting to the police officers who show up to the scene. With that said, let's get to the next portion of the call.
Has it been physical with anybody there? You said he's trying to fight your uncle?
Yes, it has. Yes, it has.
How has it been physical?
He just tried to fight him.
Okay, trying to fight somebody and actually being physical is two different things. How has it been physical?
So the dispatcher is asking, obviously, like, is he being physical? Is he actually getting into a physical altercation with someone? And his wife makes it clear that he keeps like threatening to get physical with her uncles who are also in the house, right? But he's drunk, and in the next clip, you're gonna hear just how much he drank that night. But yeah, go ahead.
No, let's just
okay, let's go to the next one.
It's Richard Sherman. Like, ma'am, this is like a emergency. I need officers here
listen
now.
To me. I'm handling this. You need to stop telling me that.
Okay, but what I'm
not going to slow help down. Talking to me is not going to slow help down.
When someone is panicking and the wife is, I think, justified in her panic, the dispatcher is supposed to remain calm. A dispatcher getting as combative as that woman did is not helping the situation. So she could have calmly explained to Sherman's wife, listen, everything's gonna be okay. I've already sent help. I just need you to fill me in on additional details. That's it, that's all you need to do. Instead, she's getting angry at the fact that Sherman's wife is experiencing completely normal emotions during honestly a turbulent time, right? During a scary time. She's worried that her husband is gonna harm himself because he allegedly kept claiming that he was gonna harm himself.
Yeah, so the dispatcher being so flippant and making it about herself, like, why are you interrupting me? And all the things that you heard her say is unbearable. But the other aspect of this, I'm actually gonna hand off to one of our members because they have a personal experience with something like this. And I want you to hear it out, guys, because this is how some people in the country feel, whether you feel it or not, okay? That's their perspective. So OJM writes in, nothing is scarier than having to call the cops about the mental health and safety of a black man in America. I'm black, and a friend of mine who's also black was staying with me while having a mental breakdown. And he says he was suicidal and wandering into traffic. I couldn't find him myself, and his phone was disconnected. I felt like I had no options. I emphasized over and over to the dispatcher that he was unarmed and only a danger to himself. I still feel horrible about making that call, and thank God the cops didn't find him. We have a problem in America, guys, when a significant percentage of the population needs to call for help, but is worried about calling for help because they're worried that the help arrives and kills the person they're trying to help. That is a massive problem in this country. And what
do you do? What do you do, right? I mean, see, this story is such an important one, if you ask me, right? Because when we talk about police brutality and the need to reform the criminal justice system and policing in America, understand that the very people who took to the streets last summer they want protection, right? They want to have someone, a government agency to call when they need help, when they need safety. But when you're a black family in America and you're used to this kind of aggressive treatment and brutality and excessive force, who do you call when you need help? Who was she supposed to call? And to call a 911 dispatcher and receive that kind of treatment in your moment of panic is just, these are supposed to be highly trained individuals who keep the situation calm. The dispatcher failed to do that, just failed to do that. And then the thoughts that go through Moss's mind, that's Sherman's wife, Moss's mind as she's making this call, urging them to not shoot him once they arrive to the scene. I mean, it shows you the difference that the public has, right? I guess like the disconnect between some people in America, and I put myself in that group, right? Where I grew up thinking and feeling that I can call the cops whenever I need them and they'll show up and they'll protect me, right? Yep. But there's a huge portion of this country that does not feel that way.
And partly because they get treated like this, and partly because we've seen it happen dozens of times. Somebody calls for help and the cops come, they see somebody having a mental health issue and they shoot them and kill them. That is not the right way to handle it. Last thing is, guys, that's why the movement was called Defund the Police. And we've talked about how I think that's bad framing because people misunderstand it. But the essence of the policy was correct, which is that some portion of policing should be done by mental health experts and not people with guns. So now, by the way, you might need people with guns to escort them, right, into situations like this. But a mental health professional should lead in a context like this. And maybe then a lot of people in this country wouldn't be scared to death to call the cops.
Yeah. We do have one more clip, and I think this is an important one, which is why I'm gonna go to it. So let's listen.
Does anybody need an ambulance there? You said it was physical.
No, we don't need an ambulance.
Okay. And he does not have any weapons or access to weapons?
No.
Okay, and how much has he had to drink tonight?
2 bottles.
2 bottles of what?
Ma'am, a vodka and Hennessy.
Okay, hard alcohol.
It's alcohol. He's intoxicated.
Okay, sir. I'm only going to talk to one person, so please put the phone down. Let's talk to Ashley.
Okay, is the sheriff on the way?
Okay, listen, it's over on dispatch, okay? Talking to me is not going to slow anything else down.
Unbearable, yeah.
I'm happy that no one got seriously hurt. As I mentioned, he got a cut on his ankle as a result of the K9 unit because once the cops arrived to his wife's parents' house, apparently at first they were able to talk to him, but then once he realized that they were gonna arrest him, he started walking away. So they used the dog to restrain him.
I mean, seeing a dog on a black man is not great either, let's be honest. But did he have to be arrested? In the beginning, I wasn't sure, but given the damage on the door, and he appeared to be trying to break in, but more importantly, even the
drunk driving.
Yeah, the information they had that it was his car, it looks like, that had not only done drunk driving, but a hit and run. Not on a person, nobody got hurt, but a hit and run is a very serious charge. So I can understand why they needed to arrest him. We're just thrilled that no one got killed in this story.
Yeah.
But but we should expect better from the people who are supposed to help us. Again, other than the dog, the cops didn't necessarily do anything wrong, the dispatcher did. Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.